The Cleveland Cavaliers emerged victorious from their latest battle with the Golden State Warriors, and I gotta say, this one holds significant weight for a multitude of reasons. For starters, this marks the Cavs' first regular season victory over Golden State in damn near 7 years. The last time Cleveland beat the Warriors, Barack Obama was still in office. Let that sink in. They were finally able to get the proverbial monkey off of their back, and they executed their game plan from start to finish in perhaps their most complete game yet. There were a few different things that stood out to me in this matchup that contributed to the win, and with that being said, let's examine just how Cleveland was able to hand a very hot Warriors team a loss. Number 1, rebounding battle. Several Cavs attacked the glass in this one, led by Evan Mobley, of course, who finished the game with a game-high 16 rebounds. But this was very much a team effort and was definitely a big factor in the win. We know how valuable the 3-ball is in today's game, and the Warriors, led by the Splash Brothers, are a top 12 team in both terms of 3-point percentage and 3-point opportunities this year so far. So limiting their possessions was going to be key, and they did that, winning the rebounding battle 54-44, their largest rebounding margin so far this year. Everyone got in on the action, whether it be due to good positioning from a solid box out or just straight up hustling for loose boards. This hasn't necessarily been the case in each of the prior 6 games, and a huge reason for it may have been due in large part to the absence of one Jarrett Allen. The big man returned to action the game prior against Indiana, but he appeared to be on restriction, suiting up for just 21 minutes total. His return gives the Cavs a real presence inside for both putbacks on the offensive end, as well as possession-ending boards on the defensive glass. It also gives opposing teams a really tough equation to solve in trying to limit the effectiveness on the glass from the front court pairing of Allen and Evan Mobley, who combined for a grand total of 18.8 rebounds per game last season. Aside from those two, I've really been impressed with Georges Niang's effort on the glass. At 6'7", the aptly nicknamed Minivan is already a tad undersized at the power forward position, even by today's small ball standards, but despite that, he has been really solid in limited time this season and is well on his way to putting up a career high in this category. There is perhaps no better of an example of how much effort he has put in to begin this season as this play in which he's seen fighting over a screen. He definitely gets beat by Darius, but he gets himself right back into the play by then boxing Sarge out for the rebound. Ditto for Tristan Thompson as he continues to show just how much he has left in the tank. His ability to generate extra possessions, as well as his effectiveness as a rim protector in minutes as the Cavs' true sole big, have been vital to the Cavs' overall success to start the season, and as a result, we may have seen the last of Damian Jones within the rotation. Number 2, timely rotations. Look, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, head coach JB Bickerstaff is routinely questioned by fans about his rotations. I have been a staunch defender of Bickerstaff throughout his tenure, but even I can concede that his rotations have been less than ideal at certain points. However, this season, JB's hand was often forced due to severe rash of injuries the team suffered to begin the new campaign. Sometimes, your lineups are a direct result of who's available, and when half of your damn rotation is sidelined, your options are going to be limited. Now that JB finally has the full roster to pull from, with the exception of Jerome, he has a lot more options to choose from, and with that being the case, Bickerstaff managed this group very well against Golden State. His rotations were timely, always seeming to insert the correct player at the right point in time. There are more than enough examples to choose from, however, there are 3 that really stick out. The first is the inclusion of Georges Niang, who was called upon much earlier than expected after Evan Mobley picked up 2 early fouls with little over 9 minutes and 20 seconds left in the first quarter. How did Niang respond after being placed into the unenviable position of having to match up with a very cerebral basketball mind in Draymond Green? The answer is undeniably very well. He defended in space, held up in man-to-man, he moved the ball consistently, and he spaced the floor without hunting for shots. He continues to position himself quite well for loose boards, which is quite the unexpected development, might I add, and all in all, just gave the Cavs quality minutes when he was inserted. The next is Dean Wade, who can be somewhat of a divisive figure in Cleveland, not necessarily because of anything he has done off the court, but rather on it. And look, all I can say is that when healthy, Wade is fairly productive. And he does give the Cavs yet another body and option to utilize at the power forward position, especially due to his ability to space the floor and defend at a respectable level. JB knows this, and it's why he gives Wade opportunities to see the floor despite some displeasure from fans. Wade entered the game with little over 3 minutes left in the first and made his presence known right off the bat by locking up Steph Curry on his first defensive possession, which resulted in a steal.
Curry tries to make a move on Wade and hit the foot of Wade, and Wade scoops it up.
He then followed this up by making life hard on Jonathan Kuminga on the very next possession. It's this defensive versatility that he offers that makes him quite the change up from Max or Niang. Whether he's defending in space or right up on you, Wade is dependable. Offensively speaking, the shots may not be falling at a high clip, but it is a small sample size, and it's not as if he's taken a ton of attempts. And for what it's worth, Bickerstaff hasn't been afraid to pull his leash when need be, which is honestly what you want to see out of him. My last example is a name you've already heard me mention, and that is Tristan Thompson. Double T's minutes appeared to come right when you needed them. He saw first quarter action yet again, and what did he do upon entering the game? He proved that he is still able to respectably protect the rim right away, fending off multiple drives to the rim from multiple Warriors. And on the other end, he operated as the roll man in the pick and roll whilst also setting some very physical screens on GSW. And perhaps most of all, he showed his willingness to muscle his way inside and draw contact like he did against Darius here. This is definitely a positive development for a team that is trying to desperately beat the dreaded soft allegations. And last but not least, number 3, ball movement. One of my favorite takeaways from last night's game was the overall ball movement from start to finish on the offensive end. It appeared that the Cavs made a real effort to get everyone involved from the jump, carrying over the effort that we saw in the third quarter of the Pacers matchup and this one off rip. There seemed to be a certain level of energy around the ball, as hero ball and isolation sets were rarely seen. The shots appeared to come within the flow of the offense, and as a result, GSW was left dumbfounded trying to match the frenetic pace at which Cleveland was operating at. Everyone was truly trying to make the extra pass. This play right here probably sums it up best.
Posting up Thompson back to Niang. Niang and Strus play, catch for a 3.
And he's found his range at the rock.
Now obviously there will always be occasions in which plays break down and you need your stars to get some points in 1v1. But more often than not, if you move the ball around enough, you will secure a worthwhile look, especially with shooters in town this year. For me, it wasn't just the 3-ball though. It was the fact that the Cavs have their lob game back, especially with the return of Allen, who spaces the floor vertically. There was a lot more off-ball action, which resulted in a ton of cuts to the basket for high percentage looks. You can thank Max Strus for that. And playing with a much quicker pace helps facilitate this. Fun fact of this video, Tristan Thompson actually led both teams in pace of play last night, operating with a pace of 112.25. The team as a whole finished tied with Golden State with a pace of 101.5. This style of play is clearly benefiting everyone, and as long as it holds up, I expect the highest level of offense we've ever seen from JB Bickerstaff and company. But for now, I'll settle for more of this type of play more consistently. Go Cavs!